Okay. Okay, so we're recording right now. So coming back to the question around the link between TVM and neuroplasticity, and how can we find that the connection between both? Awesome. Okay, so when we think about trauma, right, or not trauma in the traditional sense, but we're seeing it as defined in most spaces, but kind of how we define it, and how I define it, and how this body work um, views it and interacts with it, that it is an unresolved process that creates a buildup of energy, a charge in the system in the body. And because there is a question mark, right? I.e., I don't know what to do moving forward, or is this survivable or unsurvivable? The body and the nervous system is like, well, I'm going to put a pause on this because if I go ahead and proceed with this process, I do not know if I'm going to survive. And it could be something as like the complexity of this is multi-tiered. We have this in the actual event. So it could be something like jumping off a cliff into a body of water. It could be it could be that just experiencing the intensity of an emotion. These are the tiers, right? They're so multi-tiered. The intensity of an emotion could trigger a massive radical shift in my internal um, chemistry, and my internal body pressure, that it could trigger a heart attack. Or the body's like, you know what? You don't even have the capacity anatomically to dilate your blood vessels enough for that, so that the heart can actually beat to the necessary exertion for that, say, activation of that fight or flight. So again, we're looking at these multi-tiers of where the body's like evaluating, is running all of these systems. Like, is this something that is doable, survivable, or not? If not, I'm going to switch gears. We're going to create a freeze. We're going to create a pause, and we're just going to park this somewhere. This is something that we're not sure what this looks like. We don't necessarily have. Well, this is where, again, the term even vagal tone is such a huge term, because it's like this muscle of resiliency, and it's not just emotional. It's anatomical. It's a physical things that are happening. So we're thinking about all of these tiers, right? So it's not we try to keep things as simple as possible with this body work, but in reality, it's more. It's a lot more complex. So now we go through the process with TVM, right? So you get your client on the table. They're traveling the cascade. What we are doing is we are offering multi-level input into the system that is sufficient enough. What we found with this body work, that when we offer um, co-regulation, when we offer, and it's significant, it's sufficient enough co-regulation, we offer the capacity to go and meet the charge or this unresolved event with the co-regulation and with the oxytocin, which is basically that antidote or that offsetting of cortisol in the system, or that stress, right? So basically, we're giving that anesthetic, we're giving that painkiller, we're giving that capacity or input into the system that, hey, you can actually survive. Here's enough love, here's enough safety. And then the body's like, oh, okay, I switch gears now. I don't have to go into this more exaggerated response, right? Which is where the body's like, I'm not sure if I will survive or not. We're making it really subtle. This is why, again, this body work is extremely elegant. We're not looking for those big cathartic type releases. We're really wanting it to be very subtle, because subtle equals safety to the system. So now, when the system goes in, you go in to meet. So when you think about that unresolved charge, I call it also an untruth. So basically, it's not something that is true in your system, because the truth is, like, right now the event is not happening. The What that person has told you potentially, or that situation has embedded itself into your system, is not the truth for right now. It's a story. And we're going in and we're changing, we're rewriting the story. So when we go in, and what we're offering, so when the body, the nervous system, goes into introspecting, i.e., basically your nervous system is playing back and forth all day long, every day. And you see this in our dreams. This is why sometimes we have reoccurring dreams. it is replaying, rewind, play, rewind, play, rewind, play, all of the information. It's how we are able to retrieve information in our brains. This is why we can have memories. We're able to go back into a story. This is how we can even like trigger a full-blown anatomical, visceral, chemical response to the sensation and the feeling of a memory. So if we think about something beautiful, we can feel the warm fuzziness. When we think about something scary, we can feel the contraction in our body. We're able to go back into it. So basically, it's like a move. You go back into the event. When we go in and we think about your nervous system as two filing cabinets. One filing cabinet is all of these unresolved question mark. I don't know what happens. I have not met this information or process or story to its end. It's incomplete, incomplete, incomplete. So these are half done. And we have a filing cabinet where we know exactly what's going to happen. So I can run that information without my body stalling, without it contracting, without me creating a layer of compensation around it, whether it's emotional, physical, and my thoughts and my emotional processing, in my physical structure. I don't need to. I am able to retrieve the information, go into it, have perspective, have integrity, have um, enough agency within myself to experience it, understand it, break it down, and even improve on it, grow from it. Why? Because I'm getting access to my frontal lobe. I'm not interacting with this information from the part of our brain that is responsible for the more primal type survival mechanisms, right? So now when we use TVM and we're like, okay, we're offering oxytocin, we're giving you the safety, we're giving you the co-regulation, and we're now starting to travel, we're activating the vagus nerve, we're literally pressing on it, saying, hey, I'm flooding you with oxytocin, I'm flooding you with co-regulation, I'm telling you I'm here, I'm communicating through my nervous system, through neuromirroring, I'm here, I got you, everything's going to be okay. And the nervous system engages, saying, I believe you. And now it goes into that filing cabinet of the unknown, because every day, all day long, your nervous system is wasting energy. This is why people who have unresolved trauma have the layers of compensation. We see this through the the um, uh, the CDC research, the ACEs scores. People with ACEs scores, we know we have 30, 40 years of evidence that when you have unresolved stories, your body, the other systems start to compensate and the health goes down, physical, emotional, people's life expectancy, all of it are not favorable anymore because your nervous system consumes the most amount of energy in your body. So if you think about yourself as an energy bank, this is the most amount of energy you're using, and it steals it, robs it from you. So we go into the unknown. And the reason your body runs these back and forth all day long is because it wants to take that energy that was dedicated, that's supposed to be for optimization, and switch it from that survival mechanism into a thrival mechanism. So if you think about, say, your phone, you can see you have memory saving, energy saving modes. You have all these different tiers. And then you have the regular tier. You think about energy allocation in your body exactly the same way. So now we go into the unresolved file cabinet and we pull a story out that the body, the wisdom of the body says, okay, I'm ready to work with this one. Goes into this and you travel that cascade, you meet the charge without it overwhelming the system. You bring it back into the resolution. Boom, the body takes that file or snippet of information. Literally, it's if the easiest way to describe this in neuroscience is basically it's a sequence of information or a sequence of numbers is how it's taught usually. Okay, so you say number 1, 15, 20, 90. This sequence of information equals I have survived climbing up these stairs. Take this snippet of information, this file. Now we're going to put it into the resolved file cabinet. I know what's going to happen. This is done. Now the introspecting never stops. So the scanning up and down is continuous. Now your body is, think about it as this efficient, or trying to be as efficient as possible, admin person that is just managing file cabinets, and it's filing through here and here, and it looks through the unresolved, and it's like, oh, there's something missing here, and it looks down here and it's like, oh, it's been moved here. Oh, I have to go and resort what is filed here and what is filed over here. I have to rewrite my catalog. That is neuroplasticity. So basically the sequence of information when it's unresolved could be that 115, whatever was in 90. Now we're moving into 90 being a question mark, which is a snippet of information or qubit of information. That means I don't know what's going to happen here. 90 has switched now to 80 because it's survivable, and that bit of information has changed. So and what happens also when we look at the neurotransmitters, they change as well. So like the chemistry around, I have to have you on high alert whenever we see the stimulus. For instance, it could be a sound, it could be a feeling, it could be a person, it could be a look, it could be a name, it could be a word, it could be any kind of sensory input, a touch, of any of it. When that comes in now into the system, it is not interpreted the same way because neuroplasticity goes and swipes out the neurotransmitters. Think about it like this: when you go to learn something for the first time, or sign up for a class, or go do something for the first time, you may have a little bit of anxiety, you may have yeah, a lot of agitation, you might be in high alert, like, I really have to pay attention to this. You are running a neurotransmitter that is associated with your fight or flight, which is like basically the unknown. Like, I need to be on high alert, on standby. Most learning happens in these circuits. But after you've been there enough times and you've attended class and you know who your teacher is and you know who your classmates are and you know the subject matter and you're starting to get the flow of it, you come in and you roll in and you're like, I don't even have to study for this exam. I know it. I got it. This is easy. The the feeling in the neurotransmitters, the chemistry around the information has changed. All this changing, swapping of information is happening due to neuroplasticity. So again, anytime, this doesn't have to be with TVM. Anytime you go in and you go through, like, say, somatic experience, and you go through whatever, and you create an environment where you're able to visit information but create safety around it, so you reorient yourself back into safety. The cues in your system, your body, your nervous system is designed to default. It wants to be optimized. It wants to have you working in maximum capacity, thrival capacity, not survival. Survival is a default. Again, thinking about the phone, thinking about energy saving. That's not what it was designed to do. These are mechanisms that we have just in case. But what happens to most people is when they are not when they have a whole bunch of unresolved trauma, when they're not regulated, when they're not supported in environments. Again, as a species, we're designed to have environments around us, people that love us, care for us, know that our needs will be met. When we don't have these things, our system enters these like layers of compensation. So again, TVM or any other modality that is designed, like talk therapy, talking to a friend, having a hug, anything can trigger neuroplasticity. What we see with TVM, and we can physically and anatomically feel this, it's a heightened feeling or sensation of this like buzzing or electricity that is happening, and we see it on the table when RAM. And again, when you look at RAM or rapid eye movement, it's happening when the reconsolidation of information is happening. This is what we know from research. When RAM is happening, it's basically literally thinking about your eye. Your eye is an extension of your nervous system. It is running that information back and forth. That's why we see the eye rolling back and forth. We can even see this in movies like The Matrix. When he's learning new information, the eyes are rolling. And we see this happening. And it's profound because that is a reconsolidation of information. Um, that is what neuroplasticity does. Neuroplasticity is our capacity to go back in and be able to rewrite the story and swap out the neurotransmitters that are responsible for lending the feeling or the sensation that gives us or turns on different kind of circuits in our system. Does that make sense, everybody? Anyone want any explanation or further, more diving a little bit deep? Okay, awesome. Yay, we got it. Okay, great. So neuroplasticity is the name of the game. It's why things like you cannot teach, there are these slogans, right? You can't teach an old dog new tricks. It's because once you have solidified um, pathways, the capacity to switch the gears, it becomes harder. And this is why, again, if you repeat a pattern, you become better with repetition. And because the nervous system, if we have experienced trauma, we experience negative experiences and have a whole bunch of unresolved, or that filing cabinet that has a whole bunch of question marks around it, it's really getting full. We don't necessarily have enough evidence. And again, the nervous system is a game of evidence. It's like we have to tip the scale. This is what we do with TVM. We tip the scale. Because even with clients, and I've had this my own experience with clients, and I'm sure you are starting to see this, or you already have seen it. Certain clients don't even know that being in ventral vagus is a survivable event. There's like, they go into it, they go into that space of REM, and then they jump out of it, or they interrupt it, or they're back into high alert. It's because they don't even know that being in that circuit or that space is safe. Again, one of the easiest ways to think about how the nervous system works is two things. One, if you do something on repeat, it becomes second nature. If you get up every day, say 5 a.m., and you go out for a run, you're going to feel so bad, so off if you don't do it. You're just going to feel like, what on earth happened to my day? Because you're just like on auto repeat. Like it's we are programmable. We are technology and we're programmable. The great thing is that we can rewrite the programs. That's what neuroplasticity is all about. The other side of this is that you repeat something enough, think about it as trickling water on earth. Initially, it turns into a little bit of a stream, it turns into a river. Next thing you know, you've got the Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon is the old dog that they cannot learn. It's not true. It's just there's resistance to changing because it's such a super highway. When the nervous system, you've experienced a whole bunch of trauma, your client has experienced a whole bunch of trauma and a whole bunch of generational trauma. The pathways are really solid because they're like, we're going to survive. I know how to survive, even though this is not an optimized way of living. And so again, understanding that neuroplasticity means that even if you have the Grand Canyon, we can change it, even if it means Grand Canyon type level of highway of information versus a tiny little stream. Every time we go in and we travel up and down that cascade, we're flexing that muscle, we're making it stronger until we tip the scale. And then the body's like, you know what? I'm not going to choose a Grand Canyon anymore, even though I know that this is survivable, but it is survivable in the sense of I am not sure what's going to happen, but I've done it enough times that I know at the end I'm not dead. Okay. I'm going to choose this because this is lending more energy to all my other systems, and I'm starting to feel better. I'm resting better. I'm healing. The different things in my system is going, switching gears, switching from the energy saving mode, battery saving mode, whatever, into what it was designed to do. And everybody, this is something that I've been talking about for quite some time, and I'm going to say it again here on this call, is that we're working with trauma. So we're getting people from a unoptimized baseline, so the baselines, into just basically basic baseline. The work that I also do, this is why we have this new body of work that I'm doing right now, quantum somatics and spirit of God somatics and all this wonderful stuff, is I'm taking people from a baseline that is regulated into optimization. So don't think that it's the end all be all to just work with trauma into a regulated state. We're just getting people, we're utilizing neuroplasticity into regulation, basically getting them into the circuitry or the space of operating where now the body is no longer in the layers of compensation, not at least not predominantly there. And then we can use exactly the same mechanisms, neuroplasticity, to optimize, to learn new skills. So it's the most beautiful thing to know that our bodies can regenerate, and they are designed to regenerate and rewrite always. We are a programmable technology. If you have things in your deep line of fascia, generational, your heart, your lungs, your pelvic floor, you name it, whatever your throat, we can change it. We can change it in the cells and your mitochondria. This is why one of the things that I trying to put here a little bit of a biased spin. The mitochondria in our frontal lobe is the most evolved mitochondria we have in our body. It's the most energy efficient. So if you're thinking about a military team, these are the Navy SEALs, basically. These are the most the astronauts. They're traveling into outer space. And if you are able to say hello, is everyone here able to say hello to their consciousness of the body, which is like all these memory banks? Anyone saying hello? And are you able to hear the hello back? Who here is able to tune in to the body and say hello and then hear a hello back? Okay. Um, we have a masterclass around connecting to the consciousness of the body, and I highly recommend going into it and looking into it. Um, and so, so what I have been teaching, what I've been doing, basically a basic hello and a response from the hello. But since I started connecting to the mitochondria, um, which is a memory bank in the frontal lobe, it's a massive line of communication. And I know on this call, Jess has been in my advanced trainings. It's something that I've been working on for years, and I can't believe that finally this past year, I've been able to um, get into a very deep level, just contributing to that, creating that encyclopedia of communication to the psychology of the body. So, yeah, good stuff. So, anyhow, and I hope this is useful and everyone's enjoying the call. If you have any more questions or anything that you want to share, please just jump in. Yay, my pleasure. I love connecting. I love when everyone actually shows up. This is amazing. Does anyone have any questions, or just would you like me to go deeper into the consciousness of the body? Like, what would everyone like to do? Absolutely. Do you want to kind of expand a little bit more around addiction, Jess? Like, what are you? I remember seeing a little conversation thread a couple of weeks ago around TVM and addiction. Is this like just an expansion on that? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm gonna speak towards that. And if you feel like I'm not speaking towards it in the right direction, just type something in and I'll course correct. Okay, awesome. So when we think about addiction, addiction is just like literally like coping mechanisms that are helping us survive. Um, I have just really rewritten the words or the meaning of what addiction is because literally the antidote to addiction, any kind of addiction, is um, communal co-regulation. People who have safety and true, authentic intimacy in environments no longer need those pathways to be lit up because see what happens when it comes to quote unquote addiction, right, is that you fall into a pattern that basically it's a layer of compensation. It's just another layer of compensation that's a behavioral layer of compensation. This is when I teach addiction, for instance, when I say it's not just the substance, it's a ritual around it. So basically it's a sequence of behavior that is surrounding it that has signaled to the body that I'm going to do this, and basically I'm going to distract myself from whatever pain, discomfort, unresolved stories. And it's a layer of compensation. So one of the biggest things that I feel when it comes to addiction is for us to understand that it is simply a layer of compensation that has resulted in a habitual pattern of behavior. So it's not just the substance or the chemistry. So again, even with the chemistry, it's multi-tiered. It's not just if it's a substance. You're getting the chemistry of the substance, or if it's a behavior, purely behavior, you're getting the chemistry of that dopamine hit, that um, satisfaction of desiring something and getting it, receiving it, right? And when we look at individuals who have unresolved trauma, things like that, we see that they are not necessarily getting those feel good hits on a regular basis. What research has shown us, this is not just in um, um, lab mammals and experimentation. This is also with humans in communities, in therapeutic settings. When a person starts to have agency support outside of themselves, what happens in their circuitry in their brain is almost like a glitch. It's almost like a system interruption. You know how we do system interruptions on the table? Loving a person in a community where they're like, I accept you and love you no matter what, the person starts to learn to love themselves again, and they're no longer attracted to that. Because here's the biggest thing: what research is showing us is that the kind of dopamine hit we get, the kind of lighting up in not just our brain, our entire being that we get from being in community, being loved and networked with, it makes the brain light up way more than any substance. So even if there's a physical addiction, right, or a reliance on a layer of compensation, we can override that. The hit that we get from that oxytocin, it's so much stronger. And this is why, like, again, I love to reference this movie, and this is what research shows us. It's like, what's the name of the movie with the Johnny Cash movie, the one where he walk the line, where he's like, basically he sang the whole song, for you I walk the line, basically for the oxytocin, the safety, the compatibility, the connection, the co-regulation. I believe those hits, that does not light me up as much as this does. And like, this is literally the epitome of when you think of our evolutionary traits, we know that we cannot survive solo. We cannot survive solo. We evolved to have community, people around us, love, love, layer upon layer upon layer of need and connection. And this is what we see with mammals. Like, they had this amazing experiment. It's in the online training where like they had a hyper addicted rodent, and they moved it into what they called, like, I don't know, like the whatever, like theme park of like a whole bunch of playmates to play with, healthy food, nice things, and also the substance. And the heavily addicted one started to withdraw from the addiction, the substance, and chose um, to mingle and be with the playmates and play and eat and be healthy. And so what we're seeing predominantly, like really, really, and so with TVM, what I find with addiction is several things. One, it's important to heavily rely on oxytocin protocol. Please remember that oxytocin protocol was developed because me working with people with heavily like in addiction, in active addiction. But beyond that, what I also find is that the need to network. So again, one of the things that I love about our community is that we can come together and get together and um, create together environments where a lot of magic can happen. And when I mean magic, it's just like being in an environment with like-minded individuals who understand these things, have such a lens of compassion. Most people are interested in this body work is because on some level they've experienced dysregulation either within themselves or people that they love, and they're just passionate about it. Rat Park. Well, let's do TVM Park. Oxytocin Park, even better. Let's start a GoFundMe for that one. Two hands up. I'll be the first one. Yeah. Everyone's like every corner is an oxytocin protocol tent. Come get your oxy fix. And then we play. Yeah, so like but what I've personally found is that working with clients and even with myself, it's not just the need for receiving on the table and getting these hits on the table, but it's creating environments and situations where I'm inviting my clients intentionally to surround themselves with individuals that will, if we can't get that oxytocin park off the ground ASAP, in the meantime, in the interim, trying to get them to network with people where we can almost mimic or create an environment where they are able to feel connected, um, and understood and welcomed. And this is why, again, for those of you that know, like back in 2018, 2019, I was heavily involved with AA and NA, um, studying them and understanding addiction, why these programs worked and who it worked with and why they worked. And so knowing the networking, being understood, networking, being around like-minded individuals, being with individuals that will love and accept you and tell you, okay, let's go back to step number one again. And just knowing that you have that kind of buffer of safety, that there is no judgment, there is no criticism. But what does that mean? That is connection, that's oxytocin, that's belonging, that's community. These are the kind of environments that are extremely, extremely important. So, one is to have the network. Even better than having the network, what I found is actually being in the same physical location of others where there is some sort of physical co-regulation. And then expanding from there. And this is why we also find in research, and this is a really cool bit of research, that with children who have experienced substance abuse, a lot of the time their parents will start to cut them off, and it does not help, does not work. However, what we found with research is when a parent or parents say, I love you unconditionally, I'm going to be with you through your darkest moments, whatever it is, I'm going to make sure you're basically, quote unquote, not going to die. Those kids are like, wow, I can't believe that you love me this much. I'm ready to move forward. I'm ready to move forward. I'm ready to get treatment. I'm ready to do whatever I need to do. So, yeah. So, yeah. Who's wanting to start the GoFundMe for Oxy Park? I'm gonna be in Mexico in December, y'all. Yes. Yeah, lots of people struggled during the pandemic. My pleasure. Yeah. Yeah, no. This is why that the pandemic was the fire under my bum that launched this whole thing, because I was sitting on this and I was like, one day I will. But it was the need to do something. As a species, we evolved to have community. We evolved to have one another. We suffer tremendously in isolation. We suffer tremendously when we don't have community. And this is why a lot of people who have been suffering moved into trying to create their own communities, but not necessarily in the healthiest ways. That, to me, the OG of healthy connection starts at home with the family, starts with, and then next best thing is extended family. Next best thing, we don't have that, friends that are like family, and then we just expand and expand, expand. And then ideally is having, intimacy in our, the kind of compassionate understanding and intimacy in our private connections, our personal connections, whether they're romantic or just friendships, but to actually have the kind of intimacy and compassion and acceptance where a person would hold you and rock you if you're doing, and if you mess up, they will still love you and hold you, because that's the kind of environment that creates the safety that is necessary, the circulation of oxytocin, the churning on of more oxytocin receptor sites, that basically it's like the natural antidote to addiction. It changes the chemistry, it changes the behavioral patterns, it changes the desire. It's like it's unbelievable what research. It's so something that's so simple when you think about it. And it's so intuitive when you think about it. And then when you think about really the highest addictive type environments and societies are the ones that have really traveled so far beyond these OG, I'll call them the OG models, basically what we evolved with, right? Just being with each other and loving each other and accepting each other. Like, hey, somebody from our tribe or our community left and now they're back and they're wounded. Everyone would gather. I'm like, hey, make sure they're okay. And it was just like this knowing that I'm not alone, knowing that I'm cared for, knowing that no one's going to let me suffer. I don't need to go into substances. I don't need to go into addiction. I don't need to be in these behavioral patterns of layers of compensation. I lean into the bigger fabric. And if you think about our evolution, if you think about mitochondria, cells coming into systems, coming into creating this technology, they're all communicating with one another. They're relying on one another. If they didn't believe in another one coming in and having their back, we wouldn't have an intelligent system that is created this way. This technology won't be working. And so when you think about everything in repetition and expansion of it, it's very natural for this level of consciousness in our awareness to rely on the tribe. And then, yeah, so trusting the tribe is a big wound also for a lot of people, and a trauma that they have to work on resolving. Um, yeah. So how are we all doing, everybody? Oh, absolutely. It's huge. The ancestral trauma within colonized indigenous people. Yeah. hmm It's interesting. It's very interesting. You can look at it from so many different lenses of perception. But the one that I like to hold on to is just really the psychology of the body expanding. As a species, instead of us challenging each other in terms of fighting, fighting over a resource, whatever, we could challenge each other into higher states of consciousness where we can create more resource, become more optimized. Um, Utilizing different circuitry to achieve the same results in essence. So you can take the same polyvagal model, sort of it just in the body, expanding it to humanity as a group and thinking of each individual person, say for instance, like a cell in a body coming together. We can together create something and turn on this antenna, turn on this activation of consciousness into a higher faculty, which I believe what we are meant to be doing, versus creating layers of compensation with one another and fighting over resources because we're not working necessarily from a regulated circuit, but we're working from a scarcity or a survival mechanism in terms of circuits. This is why when people speak about advanced civilizations and say alien civilizations or whatever who have all this technology, they don't necessarily really want to fight over resources because they learn how to optimize them instead. It's a completely different lens of perception. Collaboration instead of competition. So competing is a layer of compensation. Collaboration is regulation. How are we all doing? Do we have any questions? Any more questions? Useful, interesting? Beautiful. Thank you, Anna. Okay. My pleasure. Well, we started. Okay. Well, I'm still here for a little bit unless we feel complete for now, and then I see you all in a couple of weeks. And like I said, planting the seeds. Who wants to learn more about like mitochondria, the frontal lobe, where our authentic, this is the coolest thing, everybody. So this is like heavy marketing right here. Where like our authentic expressions are the safety to be ourselves, to be our unique selves, whatever people call unique or weird or quirky or whatever. The capacity to be who you are is accessing this part of your brain. You only get to access the true you, basically the essence of the magic that is you, when we are not being hijacked by dysregulation or the parts of our brain that are like hyper inflamed, hyper reactive around like, am I safe? Is it safe to even survive the world? We go into, well, it's safe, not just is the world and life survivable. You are thriving being the unique you, your quirkiness, your the things that you like. You show up fully as you are and be curious and explore and like boom. And that part of our brain is where our true, genuine personality is. So many people in the world are pretending to be somebody they are not, to be loved, to be accepted, because it's a performance. This is one of the biggest things with this new. So I'm handing over TVM to the educators now, and I'm hosting maybe one or two trainings a year moving forward. But beyond this, I'm moving into working with this different body of work that is really kind of around optimizing and expanding people. One of the coolest things that I've seen is that the capacity to be uniquely you is who you are meant to be, to be curious. One, to be curious in your authenticity, and then the curiosity you have, you basically start to become this massive information satellite beacon that is like pulling in information from the field, and you are at the forefront of innovation and creativity and flow and beauty and joy and happiness, and you're able to travel up and down the cascade with joy, to overcome challenges with joy instead of like contract in them. And for me, it just really opened up my eyes to like, whoa, what kind of magic or hidden secrets or unfolding of the technology, if this is a technology, what is happening up here that this can only be accessed when we are regulated, when we're not hijacked into survival, we're starting to enter thrival, we're thriving. We're allowed to be ourselves and know we are loved and accepted and belong. Not just that, we are going to be celebrated in every facet in our life, through the people around us, through our business, through our whatever. We are being celebrated like, whoa, look at you. And you look at yourself as the ultimate narrator of your life. And the internal voice is no longer wondering or being critical or negative, but the internal voice is celebrating. Here we go. This is what we do next. This is what's happening. And whatever that voice may sound like for you. And it's coming from this part of us. So like to me, just like I was like, what is this technology? What is this part of the technology? And then to discover that the mitochondria in our body, which is an evolutionary mitochondria, the most advanced, the most efficient energy. If you think about efficiency, right? And this is like, you think about, we just spoke about layers of compensation, right? When we're dysregulated, we're operating from a lot of layers of compensation. The mitochondria in our body is also an evolutionary trait. So what we know is that they evolved. The most advanced energy efficient mitochondria we have in our system live in our frontal lobe. Let that sink in. So basically, your most authentic expression of yourself, your safety to be in thrival mode, not survival mode, means you get access to this part of your brain. But not only are you getting access to that part of your brain, here's a question. Why is a mitochondria in your frontal lobe the most advanced and most efficient mitochondria? And if we are learning to communicate to the body and we know that they're all memory banks, interacting, uploading, downloading information to the field around us. And this is where the most advanced are. We only get access when we're not dysregulated, when we are regulated. We only get access to this and we become our genuine self and we become our authentic self and we become our joyous self. And we are celebrating life and life is celebrating us. And what is happening there? What is happening to the mitochondria? Who are they? How can we connect to them? This is what I've been doing the past almost like now, I don't know, 8, 9 months of my life, just diving so deep into the mitochondria of the frontal lobe, understanding what is there, why are they the most efficient, and what has happened to us as a species, like, and the conversations that are possible in terms of the encyclopedia that we're building. We're building an encyclopedia. Everybody, I beg you, please document your research. This is, we are all researchers here. Document what's going through your life, document what's happening with your clients. We are building the first that I know of encyclopedia of the psychology of the body, where we are speaking to the consciousness, we're breaking down the language so that we can get systematic, predictable answers to set the tone. Because what is beyond us? We're able, it's a part of you. There's no reason in my psyche, there's no reason that nobody can, that you don't communicate to your body. There's no reason not to. It's a part of you. It's logical to me that you'd be able to speak to parts of your body and your body to speak back to you. If they're memory banks and they're coding information and they're coding information and having a full-blown experience that we're in this body work dealing to decipher and listen to the stories, we're no longer just listening. This is going to be a two-way conversation. This is what I've been doing for quite some time. I invite you to join me. Yes. Oh, yes. 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 Third eye. Why did we evolve with two eyes? Why did we evolve with two eyes? When we think about in physics, nothing exists without a viewer. We have in scripture, two or more of you come in my name, I'm with you. So with the viewer, you activate the field. What's the field? God, the God molecule. And to me, this is why, like, I call the third eye the I am, right? When you start to understand what the I am is, we didn't evolve with three eyes, with five eyes, with one eye. We came with two. All right, this is fun. Let's do this again soon. The frontal lobe is a playground. All right. Well, this has been so much fun, everybody. My pleasure. You're very, very welcome. Thank you, Jess. Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Anna. Um, please tell everybody else to come to the calls. Like when people show up, makes it more like amazing for us as a community. We are a big community. Um, and also, I just want to say thank you for your commitment because I notice it's always the same people showing up. So thank you. All right, so let's push a little bit for that. I'll have I'll have a beautiful day. Okay. Besos, besos. Love you all. Bye, everybody.